guys, this is John. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are in Philadelphia at the Philadelphia Bike Expo. This is going to be a lot of fun. A lot of cool bikes to see, a lot of neat people to meet. And I want you to come along with me for the ride. So let's see what we can find. You know what they say, you look long enough, you'll find the bikes you like. Beautiful bike, but he's not here this week. That would be kind of cool if he showed up. Now, if you can't decide where to mount the stage, you can mount them high and low. Well, guys, this is my favorite part of the show. It's got out of the corner of my eye, I see a GoPro. Hey guys, this is my favorite part of the show. This is Rando Alley. You're going to see some really fun builders here. Some you'll recognize, maybe you won't. I think you will though. Let's check them out. The first gentleman I want to introduce you to is Peter Weigle. I appreciate you coming on the channel.
Thank you.
A lot of people know you already, but I want to know what inspired you to start building bicycles.
Well, it was really just a chance shot. I was hired by a company sent to England. I was working in a shop over there. Wickham of England, and stayed there for 7 months. Came back. Wasn't sure we were going to continue building the bikes over here, but we did. And Wickham, USA lasted until 1977. I thought I was going to go out and do something else completely differently. A couple weeks later, I went back and bought all the equipment, and I've been building ever since. Yeah,
they're gorgeous bicycles.
Long haul since 1973.
73. Yeah. The work is incredible.
Thank you.
Are you still building bikes today?
I am. Randonneur bikes specifically, and not at a very slow pace. I kind of take my time. I do some paint and restoration work.
Oh, neat.
I have to feel the bike in order to build it. I'm not a machine.
Right.
And I'm very select about who I take in as a customer.
I understand. It makes total sense. Is there any bikes you want to highlight today?
Sure, it could be any of them.
Yeah, well, they're all
This
beautiful.
is actually a partial build. This will go to a guy in DC, and he'll do the rest of the outfitting himself. This is my signature front rack, which was inspired by Joe Rutan's piece from the 50s and 60s.
Sure, yeah, I'm familiar with those.
This bike is set up to be a Rinko bike, so the rear fender splits. You can pull the forks out, put the whole thing together in a very small, compact bag, travel on the train. This particular bike, this was at the show at the Philly Bike Expo back in 2012 in Jan Heine's booth. It was showcasing his Randonneurs crankset, which he had just come out with. And after the show, it went into 2 different private collections. The last owner passed away, and when they were hoeing out the house, this bike was just given away to a worker.
Wow.
It lived in the back of a pickup truck for a while. It was left outside in the rain at a construction site. Went up on eBay briefly. The ad came down. The seller was in contact with me. We negotiated a deal. There was an exchange made in a police station parking lot on film, and I got the bike back. It's pretty neat.
Wow, what a great story.
Yes, this is 2006. This is a ladies' Randonneurs, and this one was inspired by a Randonneurs bike that I owned at the same time. It had the same detail here.
Right,
I didn't copy everything on the bike, but I wanted to nail this particular section, the way he did that. And the proportions, the lines are just graceful. It's just a lovely bike. This frame, I built this in the last 2 weeks just to bring down here. It's a Randonneur bike.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So it's still warm.
It's still warm. I didn't have a chance to make the front rack, and I wanted to show it raw, so not having paint on it is fine.
That's sharp.
This is a 1979 race bike that I made.
Guys, this is my favorite. I saw this on Facebook, and when I saw it on Facebook, I had to leave a comment.
Yeah.
And just a beautiful bike.
And this came out of a collection recently. I repainted this about 20 years ago, and the guy put his parts on it, went into the collection, never rode it at that point. When we got it back, we changed some of the parts. He had gold bar and stem, and he had red handlebar tape. I wanted to take all that off and make sure your eye went to the frame, which was the important part for
Right,
me.
absolutely.
And we retained a little bit of the gold, like the rims, little dust cap down there, the plugs here. It was just enough.
Yeah, I think it would have been gaudy if you had more. But it does highlight the frame, as you said. It's just beautiful.
It's wonderful to have this back. I mean, it's fun to revisit what you did in the past.
I can imagine.
And so this, some of these bikes will be in my dining room, just leaning up against the wall. So I can sit there and eat dinner and just look over and smile. It's fun, yeah.
This bike here, I asked you yesterday if it was for sale, and you were very kind by just gently saying no. But it was definitely a bike that I would have taken, aspire to have.
Yeah.
And what year did you build this?
1979.
1979.
Yeah.
I do appreciate taking your time with me.
Thank you, John.
I know you have a busy show, and it's really great to meet your acquaintance.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, appreciate it.
See you.
Hey guys, this is Dennis, and he's got a couple cool bikes to show. Tell me about this Weigle.
This Weigle I've had for 2 years. I walked into Peter's shop one time 2 years ago, and it was sitting right there at the doorway, and I was just absolutely taken aback by it. It's a very early Weigle, JP Weigle. It's one of the first bikes that he made under his own name in early '78, and it was owned by one gentleman in his location in Connecticut, East Haddam and Old Lyme area, for the bike's whole life until I got it. And many years ago, that gentleman brought it back to Peter to be repainted in the original colors, and we think he hung it up on a wall and just looked at it every day.
Gosh, it's gorgeous.
And
it really
so
is.
it's really a fantastic early Weigle example. And 1978, beautiful bike.
That is cool. You have another bike here. Where's it at?
Chrome,
Back here.
The Chrome Freyhus.
Oh, look at this, guys. That's something you see every day. Chrome Freyhus.
This bike it's roughly a 64 or 65. It's in there for sure.
Right.
It was a chrome bike originally, and it was restored back in the day when Chicago was doing chrome bikes the right way. So it's fantastic re-chrome job.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
And actually, I brought this one because Peter Weigle did the decals, and he did a clear blue tint, which is like a chromovolato treatment,
right,
the way the bike was made, but it's just a absolutely mint perfect recreation of the original decals by Peter Weigle. So it's a very, very special early Torino, Italy Freyhus, and it was in a collection for a long time until I was lucky enough to bring it home.
Man,
Pretty
yeah,
bike.
lucky's a great word. This is just beautiful. Hey, thanks so much for showing these. These are awesome.
Thank you.
Hey guys, met some viewers on at the show here. Going, woo! You're good sports. Got some cool Silca stuff. Love these Allen wrench sets. As you know, I use one of these. Probably the fanciest one you'll find. I dig it though. I really do. Kind of cool. Some nice tool kits. Silca's got all kinds of stuff here. We got socks and tapes. Bottle cages, didn't know they had that. Titanium. Oh, check that out. That's pretty cool. Hey guys, if you love vintage bicycle content, please join the channel at John's Vintage Road Bike Garage. Hey guys, y'all know Mike Cohn. He's been on the channel a couple times. He's kind of curating the collection here today. What do you got on the table?
Well, we have a sampling of the different items that we sell through the shop on our website. We've got chains, we have freewheels, new old stock derailleurs, pedals.
It's all here.
Chain rings, it's all here. We got a little bit of a
So you have a whole
here.
collection in stock, right?
We have a whole lot of stuff.
Can they see it all online?
Yeah, a lot. I mean, not everything's online. Sometimes, people might need to email me and for me to look for something. But usually most of it's online. A lot of Camping Yellow small parts, toe clips, straps, that kind of thing.
And that's Boulderbicycle.bike.
Correct.
I'll put a link down below. And we have an event coming in a few months. Well, 15 months.
15 months.
That's not that far away, is it?
It isn't. It's a year from June. It'll be June 12th to 14 in 2026, and that's at the Auburn Cord-Duesenberg Museum. It'll be the Classic Bicycles Auburn event.
Yes.
We're doing one more of them. And
well, maybe someone will take it over.
well, if someone takes it over, they're welcome to. But
all right, apply online.
Yeah, apply online.
I'm excited, guys. Honestly, the best event of 2024 for me, at least in the cycling world, was the Classic Bicycles Auburn show. You know, get there. I know it might be a little bit of a drive, or you might have to fly in, but watch for it. I'll be advertising it. You gotta come. It's a lot of fun. So I appreciate that. All right, you owe me $30. No, he ain't paying me. All right. Hey guys, I'm in the classics section here. I got Curtis from Hey guys, I'm in. I'm gonna put the whole thing in there. Hey guys, I'm in the classics section here, and I got Curtis from Via Bicycle from Philadelphia. He's got a couple cool bikes to show us. What do you want to show us today?
I particularly like this Aviac. Just after World War II, they had an aviation company built this bike. These are hammered fenders, not just for looks, but that makes it stronger with that texture on there. These were initially red anodized parts.
Originally red or anodized?
Yes, look at, they're faded to pink now, but those were red initially.
Cool.
So this is a very, very lightweight bike.
Aluminum?
Aluminum, just post-war. Double wall rims, very strong rims. Lightweight pedals. The hammered aluminum crank. Whoop, chain's off.
Do you know anyone that can fix a bike?
I work on them. I can't fix them. And even the saddle has aluminum rails on it.
No
and this
kidding.
bike, yes, we were moving some bikes the other day, and this was in the lineup. And I was almost shocked when I picked it up how light it was.
That's
it
amazing. Yeah,
it's got the 3-speed derailleur, the chain tensioner built in, bolted together, lightweight, strong
So
light
it's
crank.
bolted together.
This rear part is threaded and bolted at the top.
I see. Okay.
There's another aluminum bike of that era that is bolted together. That's a marvel.
That's really cool.
Another day.
That is beautiful.
And just after the war, people didn't have money. And so they're able to buy a really nice bike, which this was. This was one of the finer bikes.
I can't imagine.
And there were some more pedestrian. But this, having the mud guards, made it a very usable bike. And this is a bike being light enough, you could take it for a longer ride.
Sure. Wow. Awesome. What else you got?
The next bike to our right, John,
Here we go.
is a 1939 Raleigh Record Ace.
39.
Definitely the top of their line model. The celluloid mudguards kept the weight down and protected the rider. Of course, it was England and it's kind of damp there at times.
Of course.
This has a cyclometer on it, so you keep track of your miles. The mudguards, if you're going to race this bike, where some people had one bike, they'd go to the races or time trials, they take the fenders off.
Sure.
There's a wing nut here that allows that to happen. You could take that off in a jiffy to lighten your bike up for a longer ride. I mean, for a faster ride. This also has a dynamo hub at the front, which you're not racing with that on there because that was a 12-volt system, which is very heavy, but pretty useful because it would provide light for the headlight. And there's a tail light hidden on the other side. So many features about this are nice. The crank is fluted for looks and lightness on the inside and the outside, which is rather unusual.
Oh, yeah.
The pedal spindle is hollow.
No kidding.
And there's a Zerk fitting. I think this was somebody hot rodded this after the fact.
Oh, I see. So aftermarket Zerk.
Yes. And it's got the John Bull toe clips, and John Bull is like the British Uncle Sam, a representative of the government. And this has 3-speed internal gears, original cable housing, Brooks leather saddle. This is the original that's just in beautiful condition.
Yeah, it is. I can't get over that.
And the shop I bought this from in Massachusetts was 8 years short of being in business for 100 years. And I was honored to meet the man at that time, who I hope is still with us somewhere.
Well, that's sharp. Man, that's a beautiful bike.
isn't it?
Yeah. Do you have one more?
This bike is an awesome bike in my collection, and I'm honored to have it. A book that got me into biking early on into collecting was Fred DeLong's book of bicycling.
Yeah, I remember this book.
Yes, and it has, this bike was specifically designed and built for him by Fred DeLong himself and Keith Kingbay. It has a Paramount nameplate. It was built in the Paramount Works for Schwinn.
No. Fillet brazed.
Fillet brazed, unique routing for the rear fender and the way the brake is mounted on that. Very unusual gearing for the time, with a granny and a half step, an custom extended derailleur to accommodate that.
Yeah.
The oversized tubing is quite unique, adding to a stiffer
Yeah, you got a
frame.
1/8 inch top tube.
And
I guess you don't have to worry about lugs when you're fillet brazing. You can do whatever you want.
you can do whatever you want to. And I have yet to ride this, and I feel silly because it beckons me every time I look at it.
And what year is this from, you think?
His book came out in '74, so all I know is before then. I was honored to have met him, and he had been the technical editor for Bicycling magazine, so sometimes I'll look at an old issue and get a chuckle out of seeing his work.
Oh, yeah. Somebody got here for are those Philwoods?
Philwood hubs, Philwood pedals.
Gosh, you don't see too many of those,
No,
do
those
you?
are CHP, California Highway Patrol. Not quite sure what's on there. The front and rear integral mount.
So this is the only one.
This is absolutely the only one.
Oh.
I've never seen another even
Well,
similar.
guys, you're not going to find that on eBay. It's just beautiful. Well, I do appreciate you sharing these bikes with me. It's great seeing your shop. And next time I'm going to go upstairs.
We look forward to seeing you again, John. You are always welcome.
Thank you much.
Be well, sir.
Guys, I want to introduce you to Rivet from Rivet Cycle Works. And she's got a cool line of saddles. Forgive me for saying so, but when I see these, it reminds me of Brooks.
Yeah.
But these are unique. Can you give me a quick rundown of what you got for saddles?
Yeah. Well, you're right that everybody says, how are these different than Brooks saddles? That's really easy for me to answer. It's my company. These saddles are built on form and function. So I took information from all the long distance cyclists that I ride with and tried to find out what worked for them in their saddles and what didn't work from their saddles. And then I tried to re-engineer something that took the best from the best and mitigated the problems. Hence my round of saddles.
Interesting. How many options you got here?
I actually have 5 options in our saddle lineup, and 3 of them are here with us in Philly. So we help people figure out which is the right saddle for them based on 2 things. Their sit bone measurements and then their riding style.
Sure.
Because their riding style, whether they're more upright or they're more aggressive, is going to help me determine which saddle might be best for them.
That makes total sense.
Yeah. So we have saddles that both come in chromoly and titanium rails.
All right.
And everything that's in titanium, of course, is a lot lighter.
Of course.
And a lot more expensive. I'll be just straight up honest about it.
Sure.
Everything comes in every color. And these saddles, which are similar to the B17, back in the day, old saddle makers in France, etc., would take a saddle that they'd made for men and just chop the nose off and call that their women's saddle.
Right.
We did the same thing.
Gotcha.
So this is the exact same saddle as this one with a much shorter nose. But guess what? Men like to ride this saddle too because it's great for gravel and mountain biking when you're up and down and moving around on your saddle a lot and you don't want to get it caught on your shorts.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, I love how flexible this is with the cutout. That's really cool.
So people that have trouble with prostates or, everybody's a little tender down there, let's be frank about it.
Yes.
So a slot in the saddle will help dissipate the pressure and push it away from your nether regions, basically.
That makes sense.
Not everybody has an issue. Some people love a non-slotted saddle, so we make both. We really believe that if a saddle disappears, you get it dialed in, and it disappears underneath you and you're not feeling it, we've done our job, and it frees you up to pay attention to other things.
Right.
Like the scenery around you.
And how much your hands hurt.
That's right.
Awesome. Got some matching tapes.
You bet.
And what do the saddles start at in price?
$150 is the lowest.
Yep.
To $295
For the titanium, I'm sure.
chromoly, yeah.
Awesome. And how much for the tape that matches?
$65.
How do they get a hold of you?
You get a hold of us through rivetcycleworks.com
Awesome.
or rivetress@gmail.
All right. Well, I'll put a link in the description below. Hey, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks so much, John.
Hey guys, I want to introduce you to someone new on the channel. His name is Johnny Coast. Beautiful bikes here. And where are you out of?
Brooklyn, New York.
Brooklyn, New York. Guys, I'm going to show you some crazy bikes in a second, but what inspired you to start building bikes?
Well, to start building bikes, that's a long answer, but I think growing up, my dad was a metal worker and he made hot rod cars. And when I was very young, he brought home the shell of a 1932 Ford truck and said, let's make something out of this. So I started cutting and welding and learning how to do metal work with him. Kind of planted the maker bug in me, and I was allowed to create and learn how to work with metal in a fun way. So I think that was what really started that process of getting into building bicycles. Also got into the classic rendezvous scene.
Oh, yeah.
And I met guys like Peter Weigle, Richard Sachs, and Simon Firth, and a lot of those bikes were vintage lightweights, a lot of Italian road racing bikes.
Right.
So that whole scene really inspired me as a frame builder.
Tell me about this method you use on the head tube.
The bilaminate lug, yeah.
All right, here
so
we go.
if you look here, what you have basically is a tube with this shape carved into it.
Sure.
And then this tube gets mitered and brazed, fillet brazed to this tube.
Sure.
Then you have a sub-assembly, which is basically this one long tube with a lug stuck on the end of it.
Makes sense.
And I assemble it in the jig to the head tube and seat tube and to the entire bicycle. I do the same thing with the bottom joint here. That's brazed to this. It's free at this point. That all gets assembled and then silver brazed to the head tube.
Well, that makes sense. All that is just
You get
beautiful.
the best of both worlds. So you have this beautiful fillet, but the low heat cycle of silver brazing, you can avoid some of that warping and distortion that happens. So it's still silver joined with the fillet.
Tell me about your stem.
The stem there actually has an integrated cable stop on it, and it hangs down, and I shaped it how I wanted. And it also has a Decal that's integrated with its own locking system.
Okay.
So on the bag, there's a corresponding pronged bracket
Sure.
that feeds down into it, and that keeps the bag stable while you're
It's
riding.
like a Joe Rutan's kind of thing, or how do you pronounce that properly? You don't know either. I'm going to put him on the spot. Pronounce that for me.
Oh, no.
Man, that is gorgeous. And once again, guys, look at that head tube. That's totally sick.
I wanted to thank Johnny Coast for all the time he spent with me that afternoon. I failed to do that on camera.
Hey guys, I want to introduce you to Doug Fattic, longtime frame builder, and you have a class now, right?
You know, I went over to England 50 years ago in order to learn the secrets and bring them back to the States and teach others how to build bike frames. Because back at that time, the craft had been lost in the United States, and so we had to go to Europe to figure it out.
That's awesome. So what years were you in England?
I was there in the summer of 1975.
Who did you work with there?
Ellis Briggs, they were a company up in Shipley, West Yorkshire.
Awesome.
And in the summers of 73 and 74, I toured all around England looking for where I thought would be the best place.
That's cool. Check this out, guys. This is nuts. Tell me about your class.
Well, this is a frame that was made in my class, and he also took the painting class. And so it's just an illustration that somebody can make a pro quality frame if they take my class.
So your student made this?
My student made this, yeah.
Wow. Was his name David Patrick by any
It
chance?
was.
So I could
Secret's out.
So I can make a hot bush bike.
Yes.
Not that I want a hot bush bike. I have to come up with a better name, but that is
Name
fantastic.
right here, John, on the front.
Yeah, that's perfect. Now, how long is the class?
It's a 3-week class.
A 3-week course.
Sometimes, if people don't want to make more, they can take a 2-week class, and I do the hard part to make it faster.
Oh, I
If
see.
somebody really wants to learn how to build frames, they need to have more practice, more illustrations,
Right.
and that just takes longer.
Right, I can't imagine I'm going to be an expert after a 3-week class building one bike. I mean, you have years and years of experience. You can't match that. You know, that's awesome. So after 3 weeks, do I walk out with a painted bike?
No. So what I can either paint it, or what David Patrick did was also take my painting class.
It's a separate class.
And that was a week long.
Week-long deal.
Yeah.
That, honestly, that might be something I'd be tempted to do. Yeah, because I would like to paint. I don't know if I got the patience that you would have to build a frame. This is just a work of art. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time.
Sure.
Tell me about this Ukraine bicycle project.
Sure. Let me have Tim tell you about it.
Oh, all right. I'll wait for him. Hey, I was just talking to Doug about frame building, and I want to know about this Ukraine bicycle project. What can you tell me about it? This is Tim, by the way.
Hi. Yeah. It's a project Doug started around 2000. He got me involved just a little bit after, because after he taught me how to build frames.
Oh, cool.
So I'm kind of roped in there. But basically, we're building these Dutch-style transportation bicycles in Bucha.
All right.
Okay.
In Bucha?
In Bucha.
All right.
A town that was in the news a few years ago.
All right.
We have a couple guys working over there, Yuri and Jan, who are building them and also distributing them.
Oh, wow, that's great.
Due to the war, it's been a little hard building, so we also looking at expanding our ways of getting bicycles in. So we've picked up some bikes from Holland and some other charitable organizations, and we're repairing those and distributing those as well.
Who are the recipients of these bikes?
Primarily pastors, but there are also some criteria, those who are in need that they've established over there. And Yuri's handling the distribution of that.
That's a great ministry. That's awesome.
It is. It's been rewarding on our side too.
Oh, I can imagine.
If you have an interest, anything you see of the jerseys, those are our fundraisers. But if you want to get involved, you can find us on UkraineBicycleProject.com.
UkraineBicycleProject.com. You'll see that in the description below.
And so you can contact us that way.
Oh, terrific.
Either Doug or myself, or maybe even Caspar, who's on there.
Excellent.
But,
hey, I appreciate taking the time.
All right, thanks, John. Appreciate it.
Sure. Anything interesting over here?
Interesting, right behind you.
What? Jeez.
Get the heck out of the bike lane. I think it says heck. Get the heck out of the bike lane.
He looks like a greasy lawyer. I'm sorry.
It's a lawyer. No, seriously. Here, check this out. The coolest thing that I've seen, or one of the coolest things, is a digital inflator.
Really?
Like the size of a pack of cigarettes. Accurate to like 1/10 of a PSI. You're higher end, or the ones that are from like a...
Oh, check that out. So that's a pump? So that's a pump.
You set the pressure, you put it on, and you hit the start, and it brings it up.
That's pretty cool. Do you know how this thing works?
The guy showed me yesterday, like 85 PSI.
Right.
Put it on this. You hit the button, and it's going to buzz.
Yeah, that thing's pretty cool. How do you get one?
We have them at coastcycles.nyc or available at your LBS.
That's really well, guys. I want to introduce you to Jeffrey Bock. If you're not new to the channel, you know who he is. He's building me a bicycle. I wanted to ask you, what inspired you to build your first bike?
Well, I was working in a bike shop, Rivet Cycles in Cedar Falls, Iowa. It was 1974. You know, everybody was kind of mad about 10 speeds and all that, but I was not a racer. I didn't want to be a racer. I was interested in a touring bike. And at the time, none of the big manufacturers were making touring bikes. It seems like most of the custom builders that I know of that were doing touring bikes were in Europe, and it just didn't seem feasible. I bought a Campanolo toolkit, and it kind of occurred to me like, well, gee, these are kind of frame builder tools. Maybe I should just build, maybe I should learn to build frames, and I can build myself a touring bike. So that's what started it.
Oh, that's interesting. Now, what year was that?
Well, I built my first frame in 1975.
These bikes are certainly beautiful. Tell me about your work.
Well, like I said, I started in 1975, and back then, like a lugged steel frame was the way things were done. And lugs are these, the sleeves that the tubes are raised into.
Right.
The other thing I like about lugs is you can cut them, you can shape them so that they please the eye. And this is a fairly simple spear point, whereas the bike over here has a really classic lug set patterned after the famous French Rivet lugs.
These are the lugs that he's going to use on my bike, guys. I'm really excited. And now here's the bottom bracket shell. That's sharp. Now I know what mine's going to look like painted.
Yeah.
That is beautiful work. So then you have you match the pump, you match the fenders. Check out the pinstriping on this, guys. This is just beautiful. And what a beautiful setup.
One thing you ought to know about these lugs, these are patterned after a famous French set made by a company called Nervex.
Yep.
I think they probably came available in the 40s, and they were used. People who have them in stock still use them.
Sure.
But these are a reinterpretation of them put out by Richard Sachs. And the old ones are made from pressed or stamped steel, and then kind of had with welded seams.
Right.
These are investment cast. He really did a beautiful job in I think the design and the engineering of them. I mean, I modified them a little bit, but they're one of the very few lug sets I've ever seen that would be okay to use straight out of the box.
Well, I do appreciate you showing me the bikes. I'll have Brian give me a little once-over on the parts. I appreciate you taking the time. I know it's a busy day.
Well, thank you. I enjoyed talking to you, John.
Thank you, sir. All right, Brian. Jeffrey told me a little bit about these bikes. You said there's some special features on this. This is Brian Lampson, the owner of this bike, and another we're going to show you in a minute. What do you want to tell us about this?
Well, this is the third in the series of country builds. This is a Japanese-inspired Randonneur. All of the components are sourced from Japan, and most of them are new old stock. Probably one of the most unique features on this bike is the Takahashi saddle, which is from the 1970s and is kind of a cross between an Ideal saddle and a Brooks. So it is made in Japan, but is almost a direct copy of a Brooks professional saddle.
Awesome.
Some of the other part, again, this is a 30-speed drivetrain. This is a modified Dura-Ace 7410 crankset that uses a 7700 triple chainring set. Also, it has a 25th anniversary modified Dura-Ace derailleur with a long cage from 7700 series rear.
Wow.
So it's a 30-speed index drivetrain. And it also has very, very unique cantilever brakes. It's the Touring Series cantilever brakes, new old stock. It has a Nito front rack. These are Dura-Ace 7200 series brake levers, Dura-Ace bar end shifters.
Wow, what a setup. That is gorgeous.
Thanks.
Tell me about your Italian-inspired bicycle here.
So this is the first of the series, the Italian bike, and what's been changed on it since the last time you saw it is I've replaced the Cinelli stem with a much more unique Cinelli stem when Cilo Cinelli moved to Milan. This one is from about 1950, handmade by him, and actually is marked C. Cinelli, which is incredibly unique.
Right.
Other modifications are that I've added the yoke, which is a Euclid yoke. The Euclid cantilevers are different. These are marked Campagnolo with the Campy badge.
Okay.
Added the 50th anniversary Super Record pedals, toe clips and toe straps. So this is a Campagnolo titanium rail saddle called the Campagnolo Electa.
Never heard of that. That is awesome.
What's interesting about it, it has a little Presta valve here, and you can pump air into it and cushions the saddle.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's new to me.
It's incredibly rare to find one new old stock.
Well, this is beautiful, and the whole color of the bike. This, by the way, Brian, is why you owe me a lot of money. I was actually watching it get built on Facebook, and when I went to drop off a bike to be painted, I saw the lug work, and I said, Jeffrey's got to build me a bike. So he's building me a bike now with the same lugs.
Yeah, I saw the bottom bracket shell. It's gorgeous.
Oh, look at this bottom bracket shell, guys. It's gorgeous. Check out the cut. Yeah, is there going to be a fourth build?
Well, we've got the parts for that right now.
No.
Yeah, we're doing a 80th anniversary Campagnolo group set.
Okay, killer.
It's going to be awesome.
Well, I appreciate taking the time. It's a busy show, and good seeing you again.
Good to see you, John.
Hey guys, if you're watching this channel, you need to know who these people are. We have Gary from Screen Specialty Shop. Tell us what you do.
Well, I make bicycle decals. I've been making them for about 45 years.
Wow.
I had a company with up to 26 workers at one point, and basically all we made were bicycle decals. And then between 2000 and 2006, everybody decided they wanted to buy a bike made in China rather than in America. So all of our jobs went overseas. We still make the decals. If you have an American-made frame, you have our decals on it.
Wow.
And we've also allowed the American frame builders to spend a lot of their time repainting other people's frames, like Colnagos or Raleighs. And over the years, to help the small frame builders be able to keep their shop open, we've ended up replicating a lot of the old decals that are no longer available that we sell to the painters. And so when you decide to have your Colnago repainted, it's probably going to have our decals on it. And
I understand you'll make sure they're going on the right bike.
We try to make sure they only go on the right bike, and most of the painters observe that. We also deal a lot with collectors. There's a lot of people out there that have a garage full of bicycles, and we help collectors restore their frames and help teach them how to put a clear coat on, how to mount the decals.
Gotcha.
We do interrogate them to try to make sure that, we don't want a Huffy becoming a Chinelli.
Neither do I, because you know what? They're going to try to sell it to me. So what are these books here?
Yeah, these are restoration books, and these are all the restoration decals that we've done over the years. For example, we can go on, and this is available online. People can look at it.
Oh, okay. I'll put the link below, guys. Sirota, all the different variations.
These are all decals that we physically printed for Sirota over the years. We keep all these decals in, and there's all Strawberry, Stowe, Rob Stowe, and Brent Steelman, large builders, small builders, Tom Kellogg.
Guys, check this out.
A bunch of Specialized.
You got to know who this. You got to know who these people are, because I know I get emails every week about where they can find decals. So we'll hook you up with the information down below. And by the way, he's making me some decals for my AMF that belong to Mark Gorski. So
yes.
Awesome.
And it's a good enough reason to do them. They're not added to our collection, but coming up by this time next year, your frame will be all decaled, and they'll be in the book for anybody else that may be lucky enough to have one of those frames.
That's cool.
Thanks much.
Hey, thanks for your time.
Yep. Have a good one. Yep.
At the end of day one, we were exhausted. We went out for Chinese food with a bunch of guys, and then unfortunately we headed straight back to the hotel so we could crash. Hey guys, we're heading back to the show. It's day two. I'm with Cyril. We're gonna find some cool stuff, and when we find something, we'll show you.
Hey guys, I have someone new to introduce you to. His name is Brian. This is Brian Chapman of Chapman Cycles. I'm looking at these bikes. These things are incredible. They're beautiful. And I always wonder where guys like you start out. Like what really got you to start building your own frames?
It could be a long story or a short story, but for me, conveniently, this guy, Chris Bull at Circle A Cycles, moved his shop from Worcester, Mass to Providence, Rhode Island in 2001. And it was literally within 1,500 feet of where I lived in Providence. And so just by serendipity, I sort of almost fell into the custom frame building world, because I had him build me a bike, and then I had him build me another bike, and during that one, I actually asked to be part of the process, or to be able to see the process. And that was when I feel like I almost weaseled my way into Circle A and started building there in around 2004, and then 2005 I had built my first bike. And then in around 2011, I wanted to start building a different kind of bicycle, more touring, commuter oriented. Sure. And so I ended up starting my own business, which was Chapman Cycles. And the first bike I built was a commuter mixtie for my wife. And it was inspired by this Peter Weigle mixtie that he had done years prior. and is here at the show today. And then I just kind of transitioned from Circle A to just doing these completely custom integrated bicycles. My ultimate goal was to just deliver a single color complete bicycle at the end. Like when someone came to me for a bike, I wanted to deliver something that they could just ride away on.
Right.
And it's developed over the years. It's been almost 15 years. And so to actually multiple colors to lining to other, maybe some classic touches like box lining on the tubes, but nothing too extravagant, no flames or fades and stuff like that. But I try to keep it as simple as possible.
Well, show me some of your work.
Oh, okay. Today I have these 4 bikes that I brought. The first one right here is this, I guess you would call it pink, and it has like a second two-tone pink head tube. I do all the painting myself, which is another skill that I learned at Circle A Cycles.
Right.
And there's a thing that I do. I proclaim that I'm not a control freak, but I do like to build a lot of the components, whether it's from the racks to the, in this case, there's carbon fiber brakes, which I work with July Bicycles, also in Rhode Island, on making those.
And that's your rack?
Yeah, and that's the custom rack, and those are the brakes with the custom rocker involved. But
that's good. Are those Nervex lugs?
They are Nervex professional lugs.
The real lugs.
The real ones. And the fork crown is a twin plate casting that is normally not very attractive, but I tried to carve it into something that would complement the front end of the Nervex lug.
I think you succeeded there. That's beautiful.
Thank you very much. I tried to similarly do that to the seat mast topper here, which seat post topper, I should say, because there's not a seat mast. It's just a carbon post that has been cut down. And the tail light is integrated into the back of the seat.
Oh, that's awesome. And by the way, guys, I had asked him to build me a seat post for my Bock bike, and he said, no. I guess that's a lot of work. But this is just gorgeous. Well, I notice here that you have a sloping top tube and you have a vintage lug set. What kind of work is it to make that work?
So lugs are designed for a level top tube, these classic lugs, but in this case, the lugs are stamped and not cast, so I'm able to bend them using these large steel drifts into the angle that I need to get.
Interesting.
So this one up here, similarly, it has a very classic 1-inch top tube, stamped lug set. Those are Prugnat lugs, French lugs.
Right.
These are Nervex, also French, and then there's the Bocama lugs on the other one. And they're all classic stamped lugs. But when carved, and you can tell on this one, I have built up different transitions with brass and then silver brazed the whole thing together. It really transforms the lug into something that's not something you'd find on a standard bike store bike.
Right. Well, this has a lot of unique features. Let's start at the top.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this stem.
So the custom stem is fillet brazed, and it's a quill stem because you have a 1-inch threaded steerer.
Sure.
And the angle of the stem matches the slope of the top tube, so from the side view you get this aesthetically pleasing
that is very,
Z. And then the front rack is also fillet brazed with bronze and chrome plated. I do have to do all the polishing of the racks these days, which is getting
that's work.
tough. Yeah, that's a lot of, it's a pain.
Wow. Rain brakes.
Right, and I do all the paint, so I try to add little details, whether it's the stripes on the fenders or maybe the details on the lights. Everything, just adding a little bit here and there really brings the whole bike together.
Absolutely. That is just gorgeous. What do we have over here?
So this one is a more traditional 700C Randonneur. These both were 650B.
Sure.
And this one's 700C, integrated lights, integrated pump, fenders. You got the bell, again, custom stem, custom rack, and then this bright blue Aston Martin color, Aston Martin blue color, and then a lot of details with the cream cutouts on the lugs, and it's
just absolutely
trying to bring
beautiful.
it all together.
It's artwork.
And then this one here is kind of, the customer wanted me to do a little bit of everything.
Look at this. All right.
They wanted me to have my hand in a lot of stuff on this one. So this one, I was making the racks, I was making the brakes, I was making the cable hangers, the stem, the crank set.
Wow.
Basically everything that I could make, I would make. So it's pretty much the drivetrain I did not make. which I do love to use the Dura Ace 7700, 7800 in that case, drivetrain.
Just absolutely crazy. Look
So
at
the
it.
brakes are handmade. The straddle handlers are silver brazed and stainless.
Wow, look at this too. Nice touch. And
the head tube is a bilaminate construction, which means it's a little bit of silver brazing and bronze. So the bronze joins these tubes together, this outer tube, and then afterwards, after doing that, I'll cut away what I don't want and then insert this tube and silver braze it in so the bronze doesn't melt. And then polish it, chrome plating,
that is just
the whole
gorgeous.
9 yards.
Oh my gosh. And what's your waiting list?
That's a funny question because it could be 2 years, it could be 3 years. It's because sometimes someone's on my list and they get a bike that's pretty straightforward. They could get a single speed and it would just be a lugged single speed and it would go together in like a 3 weeks.
Sure.
And then there will be a bike like this, which I need to do all the racks and fenders.
That's rolling
and it can
artwork.
take months.
Rolling artwork.
So it just depends.
Well, Brian, these are impressive. How does someone get a hold of you?
So the easiest way is probably through my website, which is chapmancycles.com. Another way is through Instagram, which I share a lot of the process videos of how the bikes are coming together. Any other social media trying to contact me will probably get lost in the ether. But yeah, email or message will be great.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm impressed. Guys, leave comments in the comments section. I'm sure he'll be keeping an eye on them. So, hey, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Take care.
Hey, guys, I want to introduce you to Bina Belenki. I want to make sure I get that right. She is the owner and director of the Philly Bike Expo. This is a lot of fun. I'm glad I came. A couple of your guys just encouraged me to come. When did this start?
We started in 2010.
2000. Oh, it's been going for quite a while.
It has.
And what do you try to attract mostly in terms of the vendors and that sort of thing?
Good question. We're actually trying to attract the full spectrum of cycling industry and the cycling community. So we strive to have something for everyone, from the novice new cyclist to super cycling enthusiast, Cat 1 racer, and everything in between.
Everybody. Well, tell you what, I saw some really cool stuff here. Kind of exciting stuff too. Frame builders and innovative products like I just looked at over there. And it's a lot of fun. Say hi. That's awesome.
I tried to give the 1 minute finger, but that didn't work.
Didn't work.
Yeah, we have, so our show is probably like 20 to 25% frame builders, custom frame builders. It was founded by a frame builder, my dad, Belenki Cycle Works. So we always honor the frame builders. It's a huge part of it. We're really excited about the Rando Alley this year. A lot of, really experienced legacy frame builders up to really new builders, in our scholarship booth, our partnership with SRAM to bring in, underrepresented folks in frame building and in the industry as a whole. And so we love having the frame builders. It makes up, a really unique portion of the show. But then we also have everything from, large component manufacturers, production bikes, down to artisanal accessory and, component makers.
Right. Well, it's great. This is the second day and I'm not bored yet. That tells you something. There's
awesome.
Enough to see for everybody. But hey, I appreciate your time. I appreciate stopping. I know you're a busy woman today, and I really thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thanks. Well, guys, it was a great trip. What'd you think? You had fun?
It was fun.
What was your favorite part?
My favorite part was all of the bikes, as opposed to the cab to show where there were no fun bikes. There were so many fun bikes here.
Yep, I get that. Yeah. For me, it was just meeting everybody. Brian Chapman, John Coast, Peter Weigle. I mean, never kind of a hero. Got to meet him. Got to hang out with Brian and Jeffrey Bock. That was kind of fun. Mike Cohn was hanging out there, and just awesome.
What'd you buy?
I didn't buy a thing. I bought a T-shirt.
Okay.
What'd you get?
Okay. I know one thing that alarmed the TSA a while ago at check-in. I got my VAR axle vise pedal vise.
It's a plastic explosive.
He got stopped. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. Appreciate it. Hey, go to the Facebook, check it out at John's Vintage Road Bike Garage on Facebook, and subscribe to the channel, and you'll see more bicycle content when I'm not so tired. So thanks so much for watching. Catch you next video. Hey guys, it's the day after Philly. Knocking the rust off. 70 degrees on March 10th. Doesn't happen often. Feels good though. Thanks for watching.